What's up everybody, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel, bringing you guys another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In today's video, we're going to be covering the debut of Ultimecia's burst weapon, as well as her LD extension boards, and we're also going to be talking about the debut of Penelo's LD weapon in Global Opera Omnia. But before we talk about that, if you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell, that way you guys are not missing out on future uploads, and if you guys enjoy what you see on this channel, hit that like button and share this video as it does help me out. Don't forget to check out all of the fantastic resources out there for Dissidia Opera Omnia, such as the Dissidia DB, the Dissidia Info, the OO Tracker, the FFOO Tip, the Tonberry Troop, the FFTCC Podcast, and last but not least, all of the rest of the fantastic DFFOO content and creators and streamers, those of you that create those guides, spreadsheets, visuals, just to make our experience for this game that much better. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about Ultimecia's burst debut and Penelo's LD debut in Global Opera Omnia.
みんなを守る。えい！滅びの光を。これは裁きよ。これは裁きよ。無に帰りなさい。これは裁きよ。私の時間。時には誰も抗えない。さあもだえなさい。永劫の痛みを。
Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and talk about Ultimecia and Penelo. Specifically for Ultimecia, I'm going to focus on her LD boards, and we're also going to be touching up on her calls and her finish burst. And then afterwards for Penelo, we're going to be going into her actual LD skill, fully max limit broken, and also taking into account the LD boards. So we have this demonstration right here. I'm taking this party of Guy, Penelo, and Ultimecia to DE20, which is something that Global is going to be seeing fairly soon. It is part of the events that's coming out for the month of February. So I'm just going to go ahead and skill 2 with Guy right here. Alright, so here is Ultimecia. So, her Shockwave Pulsar, which is her LD ability. So what it does now is it has a gravity effect. So before she even deals any kind of Brave hits, she's going to be reducing all enemies Brave by 25%, which is really strong. And then afterwards, she's going to be dishing out a 4-hit non-elemental magic AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack. And then it's going to be followed up by a 6-hit non-elemental magic AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack. So now she has 2 HP dumps with this LD skill, which is much better compared to what it was before. It now has a higher Brave potency, and the biggest upgrade that this got is it recovers 1 skill usage of her skill 2, which is Hell's Judgment, up to its initial count, and it's also going to be extending the duration of her Sorceress's intervention by 2 turns, and that buff is also going to have an added effect of a 40% attack increase to Ultimecia. So it's going to be improving her longevity now, and the rotation for it goes this way. So I actually like opening up with her skill 2 first, because since I know that the LD is going to be recovering a skill usage anyways, you want to make sure that you get your mileage worth out of that. So you go into skill 2, and then afterwards you pop the LD. Now I know it's tempting to go right into the LD right away, because she gets 5 stacks of the buff that she needs to get the better versions of her skills, but trust me, you want to go into the skill 2 first, and then go right into that. Now as far as her calls go, her base call is going to be that Hell's Judgment, so she's going to use Hell's Judgment, and then afterwards, the effect that you get out of it is she's going to be applying that Sorceress's Hatred debuff on all enemies, and that lowers enemy defense, and you also get that nice sap effect out of it. And then when you use her LD call, she's going to be using her Shockwave Pulsar, and then it's going to be granting the caller a 20% Brave regen, and also a 40% attack increase for 3 turns. So that's pretty much what the calls are going to be doing if you're going to be taking Ultimecia as as a call. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and actually go right into the burst, so then that way we're uninterrupted by this boss right here. So let's go right into her burst. Alright, now the way that I like to use her burst is I like to go right into the EX. Now normally you would actually burst when she has 5 stacks, but for this demonstration I just want to go ahead and use this right away so then you guys see this on hand. Then afterwards you're going to go right into skill 2. Okay, so we're not getting the AoE version of it because we don't have access to it right now, but again, just demonstration purposes. And then afterwards we're going to go right into skill 2 again. And then what I like to do is go right into LD. Because what that's going to do is it's going to recover 1 usage of her skill 2, which we want to go right into that again. And then afterwards, we're going to go ahead and take a look at her finish burst. So, her finish burst is called Sorceress Heart. This is going to be a 15-hit non-elemental magic AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack. This is going to have that increased Brave damage on a single target. It's going to be dealing 100% HP damage to all targets with a 20% max Brave damage limit up to 11,998, and then you also get that 80% max obtainable Brave and HP damage limit up to 179,998. And then the burst effect for this is actually pretty unique. So for 3 turns after using her burst, all of Ultimecia's skills are going to be deleting the target's turn. So whatever she touches the enemy with, she's going to be deleting turns. So this is actually quite powerful because right now we only have a Minitelian on global who could delete turns, and now Ultimecia actually has this as well with her burst effect. So let's go ahead and take a look at her finish burst. It actually has a really cool animation. She stops time. It's very, very cool to watch. So that is Ultimecia's finished burst. So one of the cool things now about Ultimecia getting this is she now effectively becomes a very powerful friend unit. Because Ultimecia, back then as a friend unit, wasn't too great. You know, she was not the most ideal friend unit to have because, you know, you had to build her stacks. I mean, even with the LD, she still wasn't that great as a friend unit. But now what you could do if you have an Ultimecia friend unit, and assuming they have the burst and all that good stuff, is you go into the burst, and then you go into her EX. And then within the EX, you're going to be spamming either skill 2 or LD. And because you have that 3-turn burst effect from the friend unit, you're going to be deleting turns. So it's really, really powerful now as a friend unit as well. So it definitely increases her longevity. It also now makes her a really good friend unit. And then having that call, especially the LD call, also don't forget has that gravity effect. So if you're ever in a pinch where an enemy has like a huge amount of Brave and you have the Ultimecia call on hand, use that LD call and you're going to be, you know, reducing their Brave by 25% before she actually deals the damage. So makes her much more effective. And let's actually see the turn deletion on hand here. So let's go ahead and use her skill 2. And as you can see, the turn was deleted. And then I'm going to go into her LD just because why not? Turns are getting deleted. We still have 2 turns of that burst effect. And then afterwards, let's just go into her skill 1. Let's just look at her skill 1 again. But yeah, that's pretty much Ultimecia, guys, in a nutshell when it comes to her getting her burst and also her LD boards. Better longevity, now has gravity, and can now delete turns. Can function very well as a, you know, pocket gravity, if you guys want to call it that, for her LD call, and also now as a fantastic friend unit because you go right into burst, and then afterwards you just go to town with deleting turns, which is really, really cool. As far as artifact passives goes, it's pretty much the same as it was before for Ultimecia. 3 copies of attack plus 108, and 3 copies of Sorceress's Distant Future Boost 2-star, because that way she's getting more attack. And then her High Guard armor, if you guys want to invest, it's the debuff one that lowers all enemies' initial max Brave, attack, and defense. So if you guys want to invest in that, give her a little bit more CP, a little bit better stats, that's the armor that she is going to be getting. Now, Penelo, let's go ahead and talk about Penelo. It is her turn right now, so her LD ability is going to be granting her access to her skill called Evanescence. So I'm going to be talking about this again, fully max limit broken, and also with the LD boards taken into account. So when you max limit break it, she's going to be getting first a 60% attack increase to herself, that's permanent, before she deals any Brave hits. she is now going to be able to cleanse all debuffs. So she now has an Esuna effect. So she now, fulfills that role of like a unit that can, remove all of those nasty debuffs that you may encounter on different boss fights. She's also going to be healing her own Brave based on 150% of her initial Brave before dealing the Brave hits. And then finally, she's going to be dishing out a 4-hit non-elemental magic AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack. It has an increased Brave damage on a single target. This time it has a 150% Brave gain overflow and a 180% Brave overflow. And this one deals 100% HP damage to all targets. And it will also be Brave healing the party by 10% of the HP damage that it deals. And then the buffs that she grants are now going to be framed. And she will be granting the party framed buffs of 50% speed up, 20% HP regen, and 100% Brave regen for 8 turns. So those are some pretty powerful buffs there. 50% speed up, 20% HP regen, and 100% Brave regen is nothing to laugh about. Those are really, really strong. And then afterwards, she's going to be getting a special effect for 16 turns called Liberty Dancer. This is going to be an overhead effect, and it's going to be increasing the party's initial Brave, max Brave, and Brave gain overflow by 20%. So she gets pretty loaded with this LD skill. And as far as a call unit, if you're going to be using her call, her regular call is going to be her skill 2 Regen Waltz. She's going to be doing that, and then afterwards she's going to be granting the party a 100% Brave regen and a 10% HP regen for 3 turns. And then if you do decide to use her LD call, she's going to come out and do Evanescence, and it's going to be granting you a 20% initial Brave, max Brave, and Brave gain overflow increase to the party for 3 turns. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the LD skill right over here. So she's pretty much granting the buffs that you would get from her skill 1 and skill 2. Is pretty much what she's doing here. Not to mention, I do have her costume, which Global is going to be getting. It is a fantastic looking costume if you guys are a fan of this character. So that's pretty much Penelo with her LD ability and all, max limit broken and with the LD boards taken into account. If you're going to be building up Penelo, you definitely want 3 copies of initial Brave plus 170 and max Brave plus 330. And then her high guard armor, it's the one that increases the party's attack by 5%. So overall thoughts on both of these characters' upgrades, I think they're fantastic. Ultimecia now can skill spam as much as she wants because she can now recover 1 usage of her skill 2, which is her more powerful ability. And if you happen to get that burst, she gets pretty nutty, not only as a party unit, but as a friend unit if you decide to use her as a friend unit, because she could also effectively delete turns. And then Penelo is now very strong as well because she does have access to that Esuna effect, and then she also frames her buffs now that she grants. And then not to mention, she gets another powerful aura coming from that 16-turn overhead effect that increases, initial Brave and all that good stuff. Like, imagine pairing her with, like, Warrior of Light. Like, Warrior of Light shields are going to get pretty fat off of having Penelo alongside with him. So, very, very good characters overall. Now, as far as the banner goes, there's going to be 2 banners featured, and this is going to be the start of the hellish month for February because I was talking about this on previous videos and on my streams, but when Ultimecia's banner or burst releases, we're going to get 5 LD weapons coming out during this burst weapons feature, and it's going to be a very hectic month for resources, so I'm going to warn you guys, really plan out your pulls for these particular ones unless you're swimming in resources right now because it is going to be a very hectic month. Luckily, we are getting some free multis, which is nice that they did give us free multis for these upcoming banners, but it is going to be quite a hellish month for your resources. But the banners that are going to be featured is, one banner is going to have Ultimecia Burst, it's going to have Penelo's LD alongside all of her other weapons, and then it's going to have Saiyan and Thancred. Saiyan can also, I believe, cleanse as well. Cleanse or Dispel. I don't remember off the top of my head. And then Thancred right now, unfortunately right now, if you're going to be taking him to Lufenia, you really got to carry him hard. I'm hoping that maybe he gets considered for a global first LD later down the line because he's definitely shown a lot of age. So banner 1 is going to have Penelo's LD alongside Ultimecia Burst, and then banner 2 is also going to have Ultimecia's Burst, and then it's going to be refeaturing Ultimecia's LD. So if you guys missed out on it when it first came out with their lost chapters, this is your chance to get it now. And then the other 2 characters that are featured on there are Palom and Papalimo. Palom did get a pretty good rework. He actually is a very decent, ice damage dealer with magic. He's great for farming if you guys want to use him, for farming crystals and all that good stuff. So he's pretty decent. And then Papalima right now, still pretty okay. I would say that he's starting to show some age too. But if you want to use him, you want to get his gear, he is on this banner. So approaching this banner, both characters are very, very, very strong. I know there's people that are definitely going to be focusing on getting Penelo's LD. Now, because we know that this is, going to be, two of the other, the other hellish banner months that we're going to be seeing for the month of February. Again, if you guys are chasing that burst, I would highly recommend looking at your resources. I'm always going to be telling you guys that, looking at your roster. I wouldn't necessarily gun for the burst right away unless you absolutely need to have Ultimecia with her burst or she's a favorite, because she is going to have that burst featured on other banners such as Jack's LD banner, Hope's LD banner, and Kryle's LD banner. And all of these LDs are going to be very, very good to have. But again, just make sure that you're managing your resources properly, because, not only are they all good, but at the same time, it might put you in a position where you want to save for a specific character. And if you decide to pull on all of these banners, you may regret some of those decisions. So, make sure you take a look at your roster. One of the things, again, that I really like that they did for Global was that Global First LD with Balthier, because Balthier can also Esuna now. So if you're one who is deciding to skip on Penelo, at least you have Balthier on hand because you had already pulled for him. But again, all these LDs are good. Just manage your resources properly, and you should be good to go. But hopefully this video helps you guys out in preparing for this upcoming banners for Penelo LD and Ultimecia Burst, and gives you guys a better understanding of what these characters can do now as far as with these new upgrades. Thank you guys again for watching. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.